I believe very much, I know very much, that your eyes and your ears are the window to your soul. You have a soul. And if you are listening to dark music, if you are watching things like pornography or watching violent films, it is impacting your spirit. And the people that introduced those things definitely are aware of that. So basically, the greatest trick the devil ever played was convincing people that he didn't exist, convincing people that God didn't exist. And maybe we are actually being acted upon by people that worship Satan, people that actually are devilish. You know, when I think about what I was hitting upon on my old show that caused this mass media panic, that caused them to try to really effectively cancel Candace, I realized that I was talking a lot about, well, psychology and government. I was talking about Sigmund Freud, the father of modern psychology, who was in fact a pervert who protected child rapists. I was discussing, as we hit upon yesterday, Magnus Hirschfeld, the creator of transsexual ideology, which, you know, was left off the table and I was lied upon. No, she was talking about Adolf Hitler. No, I'm talking about psychologists. I was also talking about the Diddy lawsuit. It was a very fascinating lawsuit because he was talking about the person who sued him, Hollywood, and how it operates. And it very heavily implied that the government is controlling Hollywood, that there's some sort of a gang that is controlling Hollywood. And they freaked out about that. Absolutely. You can't even talk about that. Why is that? And then it sort of reminded me in these conversations that I was having offline with Ye when all that stuff was going down. He was saying things to me that I just could not compute. You know, he was talking to me about everybody having a handler in Hollywood, you know. He was calling people the ops, you know, this person is in with the government. And he notoriously said that Diddy was a Fed. He said that publicly. Diddy's a Fed. Diddy's a Fed. And everyone was like, Kanye's crazy. And now we're looking at this lawsuit and we're going, okay, wait a second. Clearly, Diddy was being protected by the government. Clearly, Diddy had a person he could call who would just clean up a mess if he shot someone, which the person in the lawsuit is alleging that he did, and that he was able to get it cleaned up and was able to get the media to lie about what actually took place at his studio. Again, those are allegations, but they are of some interest. And they're of more interest to me than ever before. Now, you may have recently seen me promoting this book, Chaos. To show it to you here. Just so you guys know, this was just sent to me on my birthday this year by my friends, and I had no idea what I was getting into. Honestly, you guys, my brain is melted. I don't know what is what in American society, but I do know that the people in our government are in fact evil. It is called Chaos, and the subheading is Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the 60s. It was written by Tom O'Neill, and I'm going to very briefly tell you how the story sets up because it's impressive. You get this guy, he's about to turn 40 years old, and his editor comes at him. He's a writer for Premiere Magazine in Los Angeles or in Hollywood, and he says, hey, it's going to be the 30-year anniversary of the Manson murders, which forever changed Hollywood. Notoriously, it was believed that it ended the hippies era. The murders were so brutal and so disgusting and so jarring and so shocking that all of those hippie communes that were all over and everyone wanted to drop out of college and become a hippie automatically ended. People were suddenly buying locks and saying, okay, no, actually, we can't live freely. It's not about love and rock and roll. We need to protect our families. Nobody was experimenting with LSD anymore. And so he gets this assignment from his editor, and Tom O'Neill is like, come on, it's been 30 years. What am I going to tap into here that hasn't already been said? And he starts making some calls, and he's kind of struck by the fact that people seem almost scared to talk to him. I'm going to tell you that you will not be able to put this book down. Chaos is exactly what it is. He ends up realizing that everything the public learned about those murders was a lie. He ends up discovering that the CIA was involved. He ends up discovering that the CIA knew Charles Manson. He ends up discovering that Charles Manson himself was a Fed. Charles Manson was experimenting on behalf of the government with LSD. Intentionally drugging people, that our government was obsessed with how to create how to control a mind, rather, how to create a mass psychosis. And they were conducting all sorts of illicit experiments on the American people, drugging people that worked at the CIA. This also brings us to MK Ultra. We have discussed this before. You know, the idea that the government is involved in drugging people in an effort to control them. They say MK Ultra ended. He talks all about MK Ultra. Well, do you think it's ended? Me? No, I don't. Not after the things that Ye told me. Not after reading the text messages that were sent to him from his, who he says was his quote unquote handler, you know, threatening to drug him and send him back to La La Land, telling him he'll never see his kids again. What happened to Britney Spears? You know, I think as a nation, we have to be able to confront the fact that there is truly evil, that demons are real. There is no way we can arm ourselves against this sort of an evil if we're not even able to acknowledge it, because it is scary. I'm telling you, when I was reading this book, I don't think I've read a book that quickly since the last Harry Potter came out. But I was chilled by not realizing how much evil our government has committed in the past. But then I felt certain of the fact that this spiritual draw that I was feeling, which I would say really, really wanting to lean into my faith, that journey kind of began for me for the last year and a half. I knew that this was the way, this is the only way. We cannot fight demons unless we are willing to acknowledge that they are demons. So I beg of you, get your hands on this book, read it, confront it, and do not read it and walk away from it saddened or feeling like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? What if our government really is this evil? Walk away from it being assured that we already know how this book ends. In the end, goodness wins.
Hey, what up, y'all? Hey, I hope y'all doing good. I hope y'all taking care of yourself. It's a beautiful day. The sun's shining. Ain't no mosquitoes. It's a slight breeze, you know what I'm saying? It feels good. It feels good, bro. And I'm feeling good. So let's hop in this video. There's a lot to break down in this video, and I know there's gonna be so many points I'm missing. And I'm gonna probably look back on this video and be mad that I didn't bring up this and this and this. But let me just start from the beginning. The reason that I show these videos is not to scare anyone, but to get you from thinking like the average person, to get you from thinking that what you are seeing around you is authentic, to get you to wake up from the matrix, to get you not to worship these celebrities and worship these people and worship these things that they want us to. Where do I start, bro? Let's start with Candace Owens. If you don't know who she is a lady. She worked for the Daily Wire, is a big platform, has millions of subscribers and followers, and she recently got laid off for whatever reasons they talked about. And in my opinion, it was because she was speaking truth. It was because she was speaking about things like this. When you speak about things like this, you lose your platform, you lose your job, and you have to create your own show like she's doing. She's speaking on God, she's speaking on truth. So she lost her job, and she's a very intelligent woman and is a fighter for God. She is reading that book, talking about how our government was obsessed with finding mind control tactics and different things like that. How to do mass population, mass mind control for the population in the 50s and the 60s or whatever. And they set up the hippie movement and whatnot. And she's saying that led to MK Ultra drugging people and whatnot, trying to figure out how to control a brain, how to control a mind, how to do these things. And she says she doesn't think it ended today. What have I been saying for the past 5 years? It hasn't. They are still doing these experiments in mental health facilities. They are still doing these experiments in jails. They're still doing these experiments. And Kanye, he said that he got texts. She read text from his handler, because they have handlers in Hollywood. They don't have free speech. They can't speak on whatever they want. She read text from his handler that said, "We'll send you back to La La Land." Remember, he was going through his mental health struggles in 2017, and those he was going through it. I wonder if it is possible, if he was being drugged, if he was being controlled by people for speaking out on certain things, that he wasn't doing everything they wanted him to do. So they sent him to La La Land, which they have the ability to do with different drugs, with different things. They have the ability to control and manipulate the mind. They figured that out a long time ago. I wonder if that's possible. Interesting. As we see, if you don't do what they want you to do, they have the ability to control and manipulate your brain. They have the ability to manipulate your mind, and they have the ability to take you away from your kids, do demonic stuff, because this world is ran by demons. And as she said, we have to acknowledge that they exist. A lot of people are scared. They don't want to listen to me because they're scared to acknowledge that demons exist, but they do. They do. And it ain't no, you can act like they don't exist, but they do. And the reason that I'm sure a lot of y'all are scared, or you just turn it off, you don't want to listen to it because you want to go back to your old lifestyle. You don't want to acknowledge the fact that you are looking at the television 15 hours out of the day and you are just in the matrix. You are just the average American, just stuck and just idolizing these idols that they put in your face. You don't want to. You would rather call somebody crazy, you would rather call them a conspiracy theorist than look at yourself. You're too scared to admit what's right in your face. You're too scared to admit the truth. So you look at other people and you demonize them, so you can feel better about yourself, about your decisions, and you don't have to face the true reality that we are living in a fallen world ran by demonic beings. That have the media on lock, that have these celebrities on lock, that are doing evil things in high places, controlling people's minds, controlling the populace, doing these different things for mind control, for witchcraft, and things of that nature. As she said, I'm here to confirm what she said. She doesn't believe it has stopped. It hasn't. Because they did that with me. What they do is give you drugs, like they did with me. And they're saying it's this, but you're taking it. It's not what you told me. It's manipulating my consciousness. It's doing something else to me. They're drugging you for whatever reasons. They are lying. They are lying. They lie. What does Satan do? He came to steal, kill, destroy, and he is the father of what? The fabrications of lies, bro. As she said, this is no reason to be scared because we already know how this story ends. The story was written so long ago, and it is in the Word of God. We know how this story ends. We know that good wins, bad loses. We know this. This is no reason. I'm not trying to just scare you. I'm trying to wake you up. That's for sure. I'm trying to get you to wake you up, shake you. But I'm not just, it's just not trying to scare you, because at the end of the day, our spirit is in this flesh bag. We are in the suits right now. This is not our home. At the end of the day, this matters less than our home in eternity. So it shouldn't be that scary. It's just to wake you up to the fact that you are living in a fallen world. It's just to wake you up to the fact that what you are seeing is not real. That these that a lot of these campaigns, a lot of these mass things that happen are planned, plotted, schemed years in advance, and they know what it is. The hippie movement, turns out that it was organized. Turns out that it was planned for whatever reasons. They wanted to control the masses for whatever reasons. Our government was obsessed with that. Have you think that stopped? Do you think that desire for control is just eliminated? The CIA, all these governments, all these associations were obsessed with that. Do you think that's just ended? No, it hasn't. And they use the news, they use the media in whatever capacity they can to idolize and demonize and whoever they need to. They deplatform people, they shadow ban people to control the narrative. So the eyes of the people won't be on them. It will be on Fox News, on CNN, or whatever the mainstream media is telling them. This is how you get people to take things that are questionable, to say the least. This is how you get people to shame people who are speaking out against that. This is how you get 2024 in the world that we're living in today. So this is not anything to be scared about. This is just to push you towards your faith. Because that's what happens when you realize that this world is fake, that this government is fake. It puts you towards God. You realize, bro, so you telling me they've been lying to me this whole time? All this is a lie? When I turn on the news, it's a lie. When I turn on that radio, it's a lie. When I look into politics, it's a lie. Where else you gonna turn? God. Turn to God. That's what I did. That's what she did. That's what most people do. And this is the reason I'm speaking on this. I want to keep letting y'all know. This is the reason I'm speaking on this. Because God is the only answer. Ain't no politician. Ain't no teacher. Ain't no professor. Ain't no doctor. None of them have the answer. Your parents don't have the answer. None of them have the answer. It is God. God has the answer. It is written in His Word. It is the Holy Spirit. We are to be led by the Holy Spirit. Man. Man, we must be vigilant and careful. It's crazy because when you start to speak on truth, if you are not protected by the Most High, we see what happens when Kanye started to make albums called Jesus is King. But bro, they will send you back to La La Land. They will drug you. They will do what they need to do. They will get the media to demonize you. They will drive you crazy. Are you speaking on God? Huh? Hey. And he might have got too far into it. He might have signed a deal, a contract with these demons way back in the 90s. And what happens is what happens. Eventually, it's going to come back. Eventually, the devil comes back to collect. And now he's making corn movies, or he has a corn industry doing these different demonic things. And now, this is what happens. This is what happens when we don't live for God. This is what happens when we live for ourselves. This is what happens when we go with the flow. We go with the flow. A lot of people, bro, I like to think of myself as a salmon. The world is going with the flow. They're going with all the fish down the stream. Salmon go up the stream. When it's time for action, let's just say that, they go up the stream and whatnot. Be a salmon, bro. Go upstream. Stop going with the flow, because that flow leads to a bottomless pit. The pit to hell. Be a salmon. Go upstream.